All right, good afternoon. Welcome back here to Trader Minute. Great to have you aboard. I have to apologize. The site has not been populating some of the replays here, since this morning. Jason is on it and looking at it, and trying to get things rectified here for us. But so far things are not back to normal. I am just testing volume here. Make sure that volume is going through, and then we'll go take a look and recap some of the things here from today. I'm not in getting into a trade just yet, but that could change. It would have to change here probably while I'm on video, though. But we've talked about the volume elements here. And I know I keep hitting this home, but this is something, when you look at different sell-offs, there's a overwhelming consistency to them in terms of the way they end. And they tend to end extreme. They tend to end on a very interesting volume pattern. And they all look a little bit different, but that volume pattern tends to come in. And we saw the heavy volume we talked about yesterday. And again, this isn't volume where you say, oh, I see the volume, let me go buy. No, it's that process of, hey, the falling knife has stopped falling, right? And it's oftentimes a process. Then today, around lunchtime, we saw another very big volume area come in, but lower volume than what we saw yesterday afternoon. Then the market cascaded lower, right? And then hit a 30K volume. And that is good enough to say, hey, bottom's in for the day, right? And I was on video when that came in. We made that comment, hey, bottom's in for the day. And market decided to rally 40 points in the next 30 minutes, right? That's the nature of what this market is right now, but 40 points in 30 minutes. And then we get a 20-some-odd K volume candle that basically marks kind of, the top for the day. So pretty unlikely that we close below 2460 today, or close above 2490 today, right? And they go, oh, well, we narrow it down to a 30-point range. What good is that? Well, not a whole lot of good from a trade standpoint, right? But, the way the volume elements have come in, that's the tendency, that's the tell, that's the technical read associated there with that. Now, that's very different from, ooh, bulls get an all clear signal, or, ooh, bears are still in charge, right? The market metrics, the market vibe today is a -9. We're still, yes, it improved by 1. And I know the market's down, and yes, how did the market vibe improve? It's one of those things where a move from -11 to -9 means absolutely nothing. Right? It's still bearish. It's still overcooked. That's that's it. The read is the same. I know some people make a lot out of small fluctuations, but the market vibe is not meant to change its read with small fluctuations. Larger fluctuations, yes. And if the market vibe is able to hit a -6 here by tomorrow, that would be a bullish signal coming into play. But I mentioned earlier that this level, this 25-20 level that I want to see broken for some bullish confirmation, right? That is quite a bit of ways away. Meaning if we go and hit that right now, the market's going to hit it on a short-term oversold signal. I don't want to be buying it, or overbought signal. I don't really want to be buying overbought either, right? And today's the move down today kind of created that. So need to see something where it goes, okay, you know what? There's a little better tendency breaker here, or tendency element here, and with the volume that we saw on this, basically what was yesterday's lows, and then the reaction high from this recent rally, that's able to break and hold tomorrow morning. I do think we're going to be talking about some better risk-reward scenarios to the upside than to the downside. That all set. I've gone and looked at option prices, and they're awful. They're just absolutely awful in terms of where they sit. I mean, the IWM, $4 for at the money type option there. Just just not really worth it. I can get a little shorter term, pay a little less, but even then the reward potential is fairly low, and the risk potential fairly high. You'll notice here, take a look at the open interest on these, right? Here's the open interest on the IWM December 31st options. It's all higher, right? Look at the open interest to the downside. They've actually had to open up new contracts because these contracts weren't open and or did not have any real volume associated to them. So when seeing the market go to a completely different area, we tend to see that, and we're seeing that here today. Or seeing that come into play here this week. One reversal that I think is really significant, and I would love to play it for the challenge, I just can't. TLT. This is overbought, reversing to the downside. Has the high volume top from yesterday, and it's one that it's a great setup there, but I come and look at the options on the put side. You can see 76 cents to 119 is the spread there. 102 to 119. They've just opened the spreads up way too high. The spreads normally aren't that great on the TLT, but they're normally not this horrid. So the implied, this isn't an implied volatility thing. The implied volatility isn't insane or anything like that. This is just simply the spread just out of my league there to go ahead and get into with other people joining on and following following along there. So anyway, that's that's a little bit of what's going on here today. A little bit of topping volume, a little bit of bottoming volume, and one where I still think if we're talking about a decent gap up in the market, we are going to see some pent-up buying come in. But we still have fund managers whose hands are forced, who have been forced out of this market. And every time we get a market that pushes in and pushes down a little bit more, they're going to be forced again and again and again. And we do not see actual bullish technicals coming in. We don't see momentum indicators changing. We don't see oscillators even changing. The only thing the bulls really have is some bottom basing here with the volume and an oversold condition. That's not something that I look at and go, wow, okay, odds are strongly in the bulls' favor, and let's go buy overbought, or over expensive or really pricey call options there. So I'll wait and see what the morning brings, and look to get into play. I'm anxious to, as you probably know, but also where the challenge is, I know my next trade has to be, the odds have to be great. And, I'm not going to go and jump into something when the odds aren't, fantastic here for me, and the pricing on the option, isn't all that fantastic. Thanks for hopping on. Again, this video may not populate in the feed until a little bit later. There have been a few technical issues that they're looking at with the feed. None of the messages that I've posted here today have gone through. The 2 videos from the morning went through, but after that, the videos have not posted. But all that will be posted and will be set up on there sometime later on here today. I'm not sure. I don't have an ETA of when that'll be, but hopefully here, sooner than later. Thanks for hopping on. Have yourselves a great one, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.